Coming up on episode 105 of the Creative Writing Podcast, I'm talking about traffic and saying goodbye for a couple of months.
I can't go back to sleep, it's almost light. These restless thoughts have kept me up again tonight.
Hello, and welcome to the Creative Writing Podcast. I'm your host, Kirsten Oliphant, and this is the place for you if you're a writer, blogger, or a creative looking to build an online platform without being smarmy. I'm super excited to be here, but a little bit sad, and that's kind of why if you're someone who listens on time to the podcasts when they're released every week, every episode, I'm a little bit late because this is the last episode for a while. It's currently June 6th. I had to look at the calendar. You guys know that I don't know when anything is ever. It's June 6th, and I'm actually going to be taking off. I don't know exactly when I'm coming back. I think August, but I need some time. I'm not going to be creating the week-to-week content. I'm taking time off of my weekly email, the quick fix, as well as the podcast week to week so that I can do some bigger projects, hang out with my kids at home for the summer, and do more. I have a lot of things actually I'm going to be doing. So I'm not taking off, but I'm going to be taking off of the weekly content that I create. So I'm kind of sad. It felt like I needed to bring like a yearbook to be signed or something, but that doesn't really work in a podcast. So we're not doing that, but I did kind of put this off because it was weird for me to stop because I love doing this so much. But don't worry, I'll be back. And if you're someone listening in the future, if it's the year 2020, don't worry. There's a whole lot more podcast episodes to come that you can just click next and listen to those right now. So I want to talk today about traffic, and that's where I'm going to leave you so that you can think about traffic in the next couple of months. And we'll talk about why that's important and kinds of traffic. And also, I'm going to share a little bit about why I don't care so much about traffic. Before we do, a couple of announcements. The first is that we are about to start summer school. So instead of doing my weekly quick fix, I am sending out starting three classes that you can sign up for in summer school. One is SEO, the other is blogging, and the third is email. And they're actually technically have fun names for them. Step up your SEO, boost your blog, and build your list. You can sign up for one, two, or all three. I would recommend one if you actually want to get things done because they're going to be actionable and jam-packed with interviews and things you should be doing, links to read, resources. And so you definitely want to give it some time that you can actually do things. But the goal is you'll get one email a week if you sign up for the one class, and you can actually take some steps to move forward in whichever area you choose to grow. So over the summer when traffic tends to dip and people aren't online as much, they're doing what I'm doing, wrangling kids maybe, or taking vacations, that you could be working on some of that back end stuff, which is also what I'm going to be doing when I take my time off. And these are pre-written classes. I'm actually just finishing them up now, so I won't be having to create the content again week to week. In case you were wondering, like, hey, I thought you were taking off. I keep having people ask me that. Like when I post something new, I'm like, yes, I am taking off, but I am also creating content ahead of time. So if you want to sign up for summer school, and you do, you can go to creativewriting.com / wait for it, summer school. So pretty easy there, and you can sign up, and then you will be able to choose the courses that'll come in your email in a day or two where you can choose your class. And then the classes will start June 15th. So again, that's creativewriting.com / summer school. So now that you know about summer school, let's talk all about traffic. So whether you're a writer or blogger, chances are that you do have an actual website. And if you are a writer and you don't have that yet, we were just talking in the Facebook group about this, you definitely should have a website. You don't necessarily have to blog, which means posting, content here and there. You do need a website. You need to have something, hopefully with your name, if you can get it, where people can find you, a central hub. But I want to talk about getting traffic to that site because this is important whether you're a writer or blogger, but it's not that important. And bloggers are like, what? So first of all, let me just give some caveats here. If you're blogging and you are blogging to make money with ads and sponsored posts, traffic is important. It's probably your bread and butter. So it is going to matter to you. So don't think I'm not taking that into account. So if that's who you are and you're listening, I don't want to kind of make you feel like you can't listen to this or like I'm disregarding you. I'm not. But I do want to say that chasing page views is not the be all end all, and there's some other goals. If you're a writer and you don't plan to blog or you're not blogging super frequently, then traffic isn't all that important to you, but we do need to be found. And so I'm going to share a couple of big ways, like the 2 big ways that you get traffic, some ideas, and then share why I don't care all that much, and other ways that you can build your readership without actually using traffic. So first of all, when we're talking traffic, I'm just going to be meaning page views. I'm not going to separate it out. There's also unique views, which are like how many people are returning visitors, kind of taken out of like new visitors. I'm just going to mean page views. I'm going to be really simple and not go crazy technical on you. But it's basically how many visitors you have to your site every month. And when I started blogging 10 years ago, traffic was basically like it just happened, right? You would post a blog. I mean, this is how it happened. Literally, you'd post a blog. Somehow people would find it and they'd read your blog. Like that was it. And that was the simple world of blogging in 2007. And how I wished I'd caught on quicker that there were other ways to do things, but nobody was doing much back then. Social media was around, but people were not using it yet like they are now, especially not like they are now, but barely even using it to promote their own posts. So that's how that worked. It doesn't work like that anymore. So if you hit publish and don't do anything else, chances are no one will read what you write. Maybe 1 or 2 people who are like diehard fans, maybe your mom if she goes and hits refresh on your blog site, but you have to actually do things to get found now. So there are 2 big categories that I'm going to talk about. And so the first is getting found, and the second is promoting, so telling people. So when we're talking about getting found, the big category, those are the 2 categories. The first category of getting found is really all about SEO. And I'm going to put Pinterest in there too, because Pinterest, even though it is considered a social platform, it's not really very social. It works like a search engine. So what this basically means is that you are setting up your post, your images, your titles, your descriptions, all of the important information about your site with keywords that are likely to be searched for by other people. And then Google, you hope, will make that post found when people are searching for those terms because you've done a good job setting up your SEO and your site. I'm making this sound really simplistic. SEO is not that simplistic. However, that's just the general overview. Pinterest is kind of the same way in the sense that once you have this kind of these things optimized, the traffic just comes. You don't have to keep going to Google and being like, here's my post. And Pinterest, even though you do and should continue to pin, some of the traffic that I have, in fact, I would say often the majority of the traffic I have, especially on my lifestyle site, is from things I pinned years ago. And it's from pins that are older. And for a long time, I didn't repin things. Like I didn't know you're supposed to repin your own content more than once. And I would get traffic, a lot of traffic, like thousands of page views a month from these pins that were like 3 years old that I pinned one time, the end, because of those keywords and people searching in Pinterest and they happen to be searching for what I wrote about. So that is getting found. And that's the first way that you can get traffic. And that's more of a long game. So like with SEO and Pinterest also, it takes some time to get off the ground there. And Google, you may never get off the ground with SEO because it is more complicated than just doing keywords. There's some really cool tools. A very basic tool to help you is that Yoast SEO plugin for WordPress. That just helps you. It doesn't make you get found by search engines. It doesn't actually go out and do anything. It's more of a message to you about how you have your site set up, because you could choose the name that will be indexed in Google. You can choose the description, and it'll kind of give you prompts like, hey, your writing could use work, which it's very judgy about your writing. I will say, as a writer, it's pretty judgy. But there also will tell you things about your keywords or where your keyword should go. Your images should all be renamed and have alt tags with the keywords in them, things like that. So Yoast is very helpful just to help you see. So that can be a long game because Pinterest also, speaking of the same thing, it takes sometimes like 30 days for a pin to start really taking off. So getting found is more of a long game. It's something that you set in place, but if you do it well, it will continue to bring your site traffic more passively. Telling people and promoting is obviously a lot more active and generally results in spikes instead of steady traffic. So you'll see more steady traffic from the getting found, like from Google and Pinterest, you'll find more steady traffic. Whereas from things like Facebook or Twitter, if you have something go viral on those places, it tends to be a spike. As an example from my own blog and experiences there, I had a post go viral on Facebook and some bigger bloggers started sharing it. Other bigger bloggers shared it. And it ended up getting about 50,000 page views in the span of, I think, 3 days. And it was all from Facebook, and then it was gone. And so it just came and it went, and there we go. So when you have stuff on social media and you post, you tend to get those spikes. You'll get spikes the day that you post something. Like if you post it on your page, whoever sees it and wants to go read it will read it. If somebody shares it, you'll get some spikes there. If you're in any of those Facebook groups where you can share things or where they have a promo day, I'll usually see a few spikes there, a few page views there. But generally speaking, social media, when you're telling people, it's something you have to do again and again, and it results in spikes of traffic. So it's something you have to continually do. Now, these things, obviously it sounds better to get passive traffic, but it's not enough. You really want to sort of diversify where all this traffic is coming from. And you want to do a good job of setting up the getting found aspect as well as the promoting yourself aspect. Those are both really important things to do. But how much you do it and the ways you do it, it kind of depends on your goals. So my goals are not super traffic based, which I'm going to keep talking about in a second. And so I don't do a whole ton of things, but if you're trying to build like ad revenue, if you're trying to get found, if you want to get email subscribers from, the optimization you have on your site or for the content upgrades, then you're going to want to keep on really pushing that social media. So if you're thinking right now that you want to grow your traffic, you can consider focusing on one or two of those things, but probably both together to some degree. You want to get in the practice of working towards a keyword for your blog posts. And I think the thing that's super important, which is the step I often skip because this is who I am, is the keyword research part. Because it is important for you to do keyword research. And I'm going to leave some resources for you in the show notes where you can actually kind of do some research. There's a Google Keyword Planner tool, which is it moved. It's kind of hard to find, but you can find it. And then some other paid tools as well, and some free tools that you can use to kind of plan keywords. Or you can be super lazy and go into Google and search in keywords. Now, when I say keywords, I don't just mean like soup. Usually it's a phrase. It's actually like they kind of long tail keywords, which means a phrase, a set of keywords. Like potato soup recipe would be an example of that. So that's more of a keyword than just soup. Soup you're not going to rank for, but something more specific that's a phrase is something you're more likely to rank for. So you can go to Google and you can actually put in potato soup recipe and see kind of what's on there already, what you're competing with. And also they'll suggest some posts at the bottom. So if you're going to be super lazy, that's a super lazy way to kind of see and get an idea for some keywords that you might want to use in that kind of post. So at the very basics, you're going to want to try to use something like Yoast to help you get those keywords into place, to maybe spend some more time researching keywords, to look in Google Console to see what people are searching for when they come upon your site, to find ways that you could make related content. So if a ton of people are finding my site on how to create a freebie for your email list, then I need to write a couple other posts that relate to that one because people are searching for that and my site is coming up. So it might be something that I could rank for and continue to write posts that relate to that topic and link to those other posts within my posts. And I might see an uptick in Google traffic coming from that. So that's something you can do in Google Console to kind of just see where the traffic is coming from there. So you definitely want to be doing that because it's a long game. You want to be pinning things. I am using Tailwind primarily. I have a Board Booster account because a friend of mine, I kind of, hey Kelly, I'm sort of her guinea pig for some of her testing on pinning and strategies. She runs pinningpartners.com, which is a website and a podcast that's about to launch. So look for it on iTunes because she's about to launch that actually on iTunes. Pinning Partners. And so I mostly use Tailwind to schedule pins because it's very easy. It has a lot of great tools and analytics. So I do use that. I try to pin natively too, which means I go into Pinterest and pin things I'm interested in and repin my own content. So you want to be doing those things, but also for social media, this is where I really fall down the hole because I do Pinterest and I've been working on my SEO, but I am just tired of posting to social media all the time. And here's one of the things, well, no, I'm going to get to that. I'm going to save that. I was going to talk about why I'm not super interested in traffic. So let me tell you, if you want to grow, here are things that you can do. You can obviously post on social media, but I think something I see, here's a few places and kind of just really nitty gritty tips here. So you can use things like, a lot of people use Edgar. So I'll use that as the example, meetedgar.com, which is a very, I think, hefty, it's $79 a month tool that will allow you to create kind of libraries of content that you can push out again and again. And so basically, like if you write a blog post, you go put it in Edgar right away. with an image, whatever keywords you want, and then say how often you want it to be shared on Facebook, Twitter, or wherever. And it will just continue to push that out. So if you say every month, it'll post it once a month. There are other ones that are free or cheaper. Recur Post is one. Social Jukebox is another one that I use. Missing Letter, which is missing the E in letter, LETTR. Those are all things where you set up kind of a post one time and it continues to get pushed out again and again, which is, we call that kind of automation versus scheduling, where something like Hootsuite, I could go in and write one post and schedule it to go out tomorrow. Although I think I heard there's a way to do like an Excel spreadsheet hack. Marie Osborne from marieosborne.com shared that, but I don't like spreadsheets. And so I'm just, Marie, you're brilliant, but I'm ignoring that. If you have a post on that, tell me and I'll link to it in the show notes. But there's a lot of different options for that, but you can schedule your social media posts. What I found, I'm speaking this week at Social Media Breakfast, Houston Social Media Breakfast, and I'm talking about growing your list on social media. And one of the things I found is that I often don't push out my, email. I don't try to grow it very often, like through those scheduled things. Like I just kind of schedule some posts. And so for a month, I tried different images. I scheduled things on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter, just to see what would happen. And what I found was that I barely got any subscribers. I was promoting a particular content upgrade, which I think is great. It's my Seriously Simple Social, which is a guide to social media that will help you plan out your strategy and see if you're using the right platforms that are like the best fit for you. So it's a really great freebie. It's a really fun and exhaustive resource. But I got I haven't counted, but it was, maybe a few signups a week total, versus if you consider here are some tips. So we'll get to the tips. So I think those things are not always great at growing your list or getting traffic necessarily, but it's important to do them. Like it's great to set up those things. What I have found is the in the moment, and especially for sort of time-based events, that has really grown my list and kind of built my traffic. So I'm talking about lists now instead of traffic. But the reason I'm doing that is because I haven't been trying to grow my traffic, but I have been trying to grow my list. And so even though those are different goals, the way that you do those things is the same. You're getting people to actually click. And it's harder to grow your list because then people have to opt in. So the same strategies I think that I'm using here would work for the traffic because I am having people click. And I'm having more people click than actually sign up. My rate, if I'm looking at like the lead pages that I've had set up, is somewhere around 40 to 50%, which is good. But that means that there's a lot more people clicking through that aren't signing up. So in terms of traffic, I am getting traffic. And if I were driving it to my site, which I'm not, then I would be seeing results from these same things. So even though I have switched to talking about email, it's still the same action that people are clicking through. But what I have found is this. When I am doing something that's kind of extraordinary out of the box, like summer school, I've seen a whole lot of growth from that, like 50 signups in the last 3 days or something like that, versus less than 50 signups for a whole month of having literally 5 days a week scheduling on Twitter and LinkedIn and Facebook. So I've gotten less than 50 signups for 4 weeks of that versus 3 days of 50 signups for the summer school. And I think the difference there is a couple, maybe. One, I'm posting live. I'm posting how excited I am. Maybe people were tired of seeing the same images again and again. I did actually change the images. It wasn't one image that many times. I did 5. So every day every week I had 5 different images. But there's something about events. Summer school is an event. There's a start date. There's an end date. The same thing with webinars. I ran a webinar last week with Jenny Melrose, and I had signups for that. We had traffic come from that, and it was a time-based event. So it was one event that had an ending. So there's some kind of urgency to that. So that's one tip, is that if you have something that has some urgency, that tends to get people clicking through versus something else. Now, you can't always do that necessarily with a blog post, but I think about ways that you might be able to do that if you're thinking about being timely, planning posts and sharing posts that are related to the time. So like summer break started this week, and my kids are already kind of making me a little bit crazy. If you have posts that would help people, I have a post on dollar store boredom busters. This would be the time to share that and to talk about why it's relevant right now. And I think that you could do that. It's not going to have the same impact as something larger like summer school, where it's, something of value. But if you have something that's timely in that way that you're posting about, then I think that can have an impact. Something else I've seen, I don't know how many of you guys are in different Facebook groups where they have promo threads. We have one in Creative Writing, which if you're not in our group, you need to head over to creativewriting.com/community. But often there's a promo thread because most of these groups, they would just get overrun with people commenting and just sharing blog posts. I make it very clear from the outset, you're not supposed to do that in Creative Writing. And I'm still deleting posts every day. Even after I changed my question, like to join the group now, you can add questions. This is a new feature of groups. And so I have one question, like, do you understand this is not a group to self-promote and post links on the wall? Do you understand? Yes or no? And people say yes and join the group. And if they don't answer yes, I'm not letting them in because it tells me they don't even have time to read that question. But I'm still letting people in that say yes, and then they're going in and spamming the wall. Super annoying, guys. But so usually groups, including mine, have promo days. And I'll have to show an example and maybe blur out names, but I'll just describe it. I go back often through those threads and see things. I don't often see a ton of traffic from them. There's certain groups that I do and certain groups that I don't. So you're going to have to test out and see if you're using those promo threads, which groups work. You could use a different short link and kind of track how many people click through. You could use pretty links for that or bit.ly. But I will look through the threads because often you'll find really interesting, helpful information in there. And some people will take several paragraphs, they'll use emojis, they'll almost make it like a sales pitch where there's copywriting involved, where they're trying to get you into their freebie. And typically those have a better response rate because they're actually describing what it is before you click through versus other people who will just literally post a link, no words, no description. Facebook sometimes populates that, sort of pulls that metadata in, and you'll see a tiny image and kind of the title of the post. But sometimes it doesn't. And so you'll just see this URL and you can look at the URL and sometimes you can tell what the post is about and sometimes not. Which do you think is going to get more engagement from people if it gets any at all? Obviously, it's going to be the one where the person took the time to share what their post was about and why people need to read it. And I saw this tip from Paula Rollo this week. She has a Facebook group I'll link to in the show notes. That's really great for blog. It's like quick blog tips. And she was saying that often when she sees bloggers share other people's content, they rave and go on about how they love this post and different things. But when we share our own content, sometimes we're a little bit hesitant. We don't sell ourselves. We're like, here's my latest post. And again, kind of like in the promo thread, which is more likely to get clicks? It's the post you describe with a lot of passion. And so even though sometimes it's really hard, and I think sometimes, especially as creatives, we feel weird and smarmy about being excited about our content and sharing it in a way that's like, please come read this. We need to stop that. Yes, there are smarmy ways to share your traffic or share your posts, share your content. But I think that if you are genuinely excited about your own content and you share it in a genuine way, like, you guys won't believe this, I learned so much doing this, I'd love for you to come. I always use him as an example, but when Ramsey from Blog Tyrant sends an email with his latest post, because that's what he does, he sends an email, hey guys, I have a new post, it's about X. I think I covered it in full detail, you guys will really like it, but I'd love to know what you think. Click to read it here. It's both humble, but also it gets you curious and gets you wanting to go there. He tells you that it's a post he worked on for a long time. You know that there's value there. So when we're describing our own things and our own content, we need to be a little bit more, I don't know. I think we err too much on the side of not wanting to get excited, and we need to maybe swing the pendulum back a little bit to being passionate about our own content and standing behind our own content and telling people, hey, this is really good stuff. You should go to it. So one of the other kind of big tips that I've seen a lot of bloggers use is to actually go to Facebook pages, and I'll leave a link to a great resource for this, but go to Facebook pages that have a lot of followers that allow you to share links on their wall. And this is kind of a weird thing. So when you go to the page, and this is not a personal profile where you're friends with the person, it's their page where you like it. And there are certain pages that, in order to make it easier for them to share content, they encourage people to post links on their wall. And if it's something that is a good fit for their audience and good content, has a good image, a good description, and they go and read it, then they will share it for themselves. When you go post a link on someone's Facebook page, no one's really going to see it. It's put over to the side in this tiny category, but the page owner will see it. And then if they post it themselves, then it will get shown as much as the Facebook page, algorithm allows it. it will get shown. And so if you're able to get on the radar of some of these bigger people, then that can really impact your traffic. And so that's one trick that I think really, really works and is effective. And if you're going to start doing that as a strategy, it's a good idea to set up a spreadsheet, put the names of those pages and what you've shared on there so you don't like spam up their page and get like, I don't know if they can block you. They probably can block you, but you don't want to have bad blood between people. So you don't want to, and you don't want to be smarmy, right? We're all about that. Not being smarmy. So you don't want to do that too much, but a spreadsheet might help you. I hate spreadsheets, so I shudder to say it, but I think I'm in the minority and most of you guys are totally okay with being organized in a spreadsheet. It's just not my thing, but I would do it. And I have done that before when I was working on that as a strategy. So when I had my, page views where they were up to 50,000 in those couple days, that's what happened. I didn't share it on a Facebook page, but a big blogger shared it. And so those Facebook pages, even though the algorithm is against showing everything, they can still be super, super effective. So those are a couple of tips for you in terms of, creating something that's timely and promoting it in a timely way. Maybe with urgency if there's a way to do that. And then using those promo threads in groups, but doing a really good job of setting it up so that people actually want to click. And then the other way is through sharing on these Facebook pages, because that can have a big impact for you. Now, I will go into a little bit about why I don't care so much about traffic. And it all goes back to that same story that I shared about how I had that huge month or had that viral post, and it was viral for 3 days, and it showed me how just fragile traffic is. So that month was my best month ever. I got over 100,000 page views. Obviously, like 50,000 of it was from that one post, but I was still at 50,000 and I was happy with that. But to go over 100 was fantastic. But the next month, Pinterest changed an algorithm, and that was my biggest traffic source. So I had the viral post, which I didn't have the next month, and then Pinterest changed an algorithm, and my traffic dropped below 50,000. So it went, that huge cut. And it was below what, taking out the viral post even, it was below what my traffic was the month before when I, if you, again, don't take into account the viral post, which was, kind of an anomaly. It's not normal for me. So that really sucked. And what I realized is I didn't really gain a ton of email subscribers. I did try to optimize the post. I put an email sign up in there. I actually created a little brief devotional journal and sold some of those and maybe made like $50 or something. I put some affiliate links in there. I didn't really see a jump in affiliate traffic or affiliate revenue or income. So that traffic came and the traffic went and then it was gone. And what happened in there is I saw that it didn't impact my ads that much. I got maybe $100 extra a month, but it wasn't something that continued. It was there and then gone. The traffic, because nobody really signed up that much to my email list, was there and then gone. Some of those people probably never came to my blog again. I never connected with them off of the blog. Some of them left comments, but that was it. It was there and then gone. It was like a flash in the pan. And so that's really the point at which I started working on my email list, because that's something that is so much more permanent and it can drive traffic. A lot of people don't send out RSS feeds. They send out, like I mentioned, Ramsey from Blog Tyrant, they send out an email when they have a new post go up. Obviously, they're not posting every day. So for some of you posting 5 and 7 times a week, you don't want to email people every day probably. But when you have a new post and you share that link, you're going to see a traffic jump from that. So a lot of people, that's their biggest, I've heard numbers of people say this is that their biggest refer for traffic is actually their email list. And they see a huge spike when they actually send an email out. So that's something to think about. That's another strategy or tactic you can use for growth. It falls into that second promotion category because you have to send out the email, but it's a little bit different than just social. So when I started working on my list, the things that changed were I was able to grow a list that was much bigger for a much smaller site. So the viral posts were on my KirstenOliphant.com sites. I now have creativewriting.com, which is the home of the podcast. And generally I get at the most like 10,000 page views a month. And so really, I don't have a ton of traffic. And for a while, I've actually had my sign-up forms off of the site because I've been doing other things and I wanted to change my opt-ins. And so I wasn't growing my list from that traffic at all, unless people were opting into my content upgrades, which they were to some degree, they were growing for that. But, I wasn't really seeing a ton, big jump or anything from that traffic. I've been mostly focusing on connecting and utilizing the strategies we're connecting with influencers, of using the podcast to promote things, of using Facebook groups in a non-smarmy way. And I actually have an episode I'll link to in the show notes where you can just go search. I don't have it right in front of me, of how to interact in Facebook groups without being smarmy. But I try to do those things, and I'm actually just now starting to get into paid traffic. But through doing events like the summit, doing webinars and live workshops, of doing this thing like summer school, these kind of one-time events, I'm often able to, and the free email course, which has brought in a lot of subscribers, I'm often able to really connect deeply with people who are really interested in learning and are signing up for these like one-time events and then sticking around for the long haul. So for me, I do want to work on my traffic because I do need to optimize my site, because if your site is not optimized for email signups, then again, the traffic is there and gone. So even if it helps your ad revenue, you still want to capture those people somehow in a more permanent way, because you don't want them just to be there and gone. You want them at least to go read some other pages, but at most you want them to subscribe to your email so that you can more permanently connect with them and maybe email them the next time you have a post, because they might love it. So for me, traffic is fleeting, traffic is fragile, algorithms change all the time, and there's no algorithm for email, which is my biggest thing, which is why I have my course, Own Your List, which I'm currently revamping, and the free email course, which I'm also revamping. So again, you guys, I said in the beginning I was taking a break. Obviously, you can see I'm not taking a break from a lot of things, because that's what I'm going to be doing for the next couple months, is doing all this big stuff in the background. But that's the most important thing to me. I do want traffic so that I can connect with people, but I want to optimize my site so that the traffic is actually turning into subscribers and not just empty traffic. So I want to encourage you guys to think about some of the strategies and tactics I talked about. Think about SEO and also promoting, so that you are kind of bringing in traffic from diverse streams, and maybe considering how you might use email as a way to do that. So traffic can be important, especially if you're working on ad revenue. There's just no arguing with the fact that if you have a lot of subscribers, you can probably make more money, no matter what it's looking like, whether that's ad revenue or selling courses, because you have 1 million page views a month and 10% of those people sign up for your email list. Well, that's a lot of stinking people on your email list. And then when you launch something, you have a lot more people to launch to. But there's also something to be said for a smaller, more engaged list, and targeting the people that you know are interested in certain topics, and then trying, if you're doing products and books and things, trying to sell just to those people you already know are interested. So I do want to say that I'm able to make an income with very little traffic, because that's not my focus, but I do want to up my traffic. And if you want to up yours, I hope you take some of these strategies and tips and apply them to actually see some of these things working. So this is goodbye. And maybe in 2 months when we come back, you'll have different traffic things. Maybe you'll step that up. Maybe you should make that your goal. Or maybe you should make your goal to step up your email, your blog, or your SEO through summer school. I really want you to sign up. I'm so excited about this idea. It's free. It's amazing. And if you're not signing up, I just wonder why, because you're missing out on a lot. So you can go to creativewriting.com/summer school to sign up. It starts June 15th. And I think I'm actually going to close the sign up. So if people want to sign up after that, they can't. I want it to be something that goes for the 6 weeks where I'm not emailing, and then to kind of come back and have the quick fix and everybody getting it at the same time. So if you miss the deadline, you may not be able to get into summer school, you guys. This is like real summer school, isn't it? So go to creativewriting.com/summer school to sign up. Now, one last plug I'm going to give. I want to tell you that this month, the reason that I wanted to talk about traffic is because this month, the theme is traffic for my membership. I don't mention this often enough in here, but I do have a paid membership for people who want to take things to the next level. It's called the Creative Community Membership, which is a mouthful. And we have a private Facebook group where we chat. I send a once weekly email with resources and also asking questions, and people reply to them and we talk back. I'm going to start back up doing some more live things in the group, but my bandwidth on my home internet just died and I wasn't able to do live videos for a long time, like the last month. So I'm going to be doing that, but we have other trainings. Last month was podcast month, and I actually created a little mini course that you can find if you go to courses.creativewriting.com. You can find my mini course, Should You Start a Podcast? It has 3 interviews a roundtable interview with 3 podcasters who are actually in the community, 3 videos, lots of 3s, 3 videos from me about podcasting, and then a workbook that's going to help you launch your podcast. That's something you can totally purchase. But if you're a member, you're getting that for free because that's what we did inside of the membership community. And this month it's traffic. I have interviews planned that I'm really excited about. I'm providing resources, videos, and weekly emails about this. So every month has a theme. This is something new we're trying. We're kind of trying different things. But here's the cool thing. You can actually sign up for the membership for $1. If you're doing the monthly pay, the first month can be $1 just so you can try it out and see, because I don't want you doing it if it's just one more thing to do or if it's not a good fit for you. Because these kinds of things, they don't fit everybody, right? I want you to be able to try it. So if you would like to get your $1 membership for this month and learn about traffic, you can go to creativewriting.com/membership and sign up for the monthly, and you'll see the $1 trial right there. I'm kind of sad. It's hard to say goodbye now at the end of this podcast because I know I'm going away. But the weird thing about the internet is probably a lot of you are listening and you're like, what do you mean? The next episode's right here, because you're listening months and years later, which is the cool thing. So in that case, just hit next. Otherwise, if you want to connect with me, I'm not taking a break from my membership. So I'm going to be in there doing lots of stuff. If you want to connect more, keep learning, that's a great way to do it. So summer school, creativewriting.com/summer school, totally free, some training. Or go deeper and get into the membership, creativewriting.com/membership. I would love to have you try it out. That's all, wrapping up episode 105, and I will be back. And I'll be active in the Facebook group. So it's not really goodbye, but it just feels weird. I'm kind of sad. I love podcasting and I love my listeners. So thank you guys for listening. I hope I will connect with you continually through the Facebook group, through summer school, through the membership over the summer, and you will hear from me again in August.